This video is for those people who have been living in Italy for at least 5 years and then you are due to get the application of EU Lungo Periodo. There are many of our people, there are many African people living in Italy. They are due to apply for the EU Lungo Periodo known as Escata Soggiorno long-term permit or 00 illimitata, but due to the fact that they don't know the guideline, what to do, the process, what is even all about. Many people don't know the meaning of EU Lungo Periodo. And then at the end of the day, it will not be that you are due to get this kind of document, but lack of information, not knowing what to do, then it will escape you. Now, Prince TV have come to state to you guys every single thing you have to know about EU Lungo Periodo Escata Soggiorno, how you can apply, what is this document all about. I'm here to state articles to you guys. Sit tight and then enjoy this video. Now know how I take the run my update say as the video take be. If you dey sensitive, I go sit down like this, run and give una. As updates today, now so I take the full am. Now listen attentively for those people who have been living in Italy for at least 5 years to now listen and know if you can apply for this Escata Soggiorno known as EU Lungo Periodo. He said here, for those living in Italy more than 5 years, permesso lungo periodo Escata di Soggiorno. And listen to what they are now stating. He said, if you are a migrant or refugee who has been regularly living in Italy with a valid permesso for the past 5 years, you may be able to apply for a permesso di soggiorno EU per soggiornati di lungo periodo EU long-term permit in English. Now listen to what they are now stating. He said, also known as Escata di Soggiorno, permesso illimitata or 00. He said, this permit prevents you from being expelled from Italy unless for several state security reasons. He said, and enable you to participate in some form of local public life. For example, you can vote in referendum at the municipality level. This permit is also valid as an identity document. Now, if you have Escata Soggiorno EU Lungo Periodo, you have the right to vote. You have the right to go for election. Try to vote for anybody who you like. So that is one thing you have to know about this. He said the EU long-term permit also allow you to regularly work, study in another EU country with exemption of Denmark, Ireland. So if you have this long-term permit, Escata Soggiorno, you can also work in any other European country with the exemption of Denmark and Ireland. That is what you have to know. He said to do so, you will have to request a different permit to the authority of the EU country you would like to move to. He said, by doing that, you will not lose your Italian EU long-term permit. Note that each EU country has its own rules to give permits to holders of EU long-term permit released by another EU member state. So, if, for example, you want to apply for work for other European countries, you get some documents where go to tell you something you bring again. Now we just try to explain for this part. Now listen, he said, who can apply? Now let's see who can apply for this long-term permit, which is known as Escata Soggiorno. This is a fresh video, current, what you have to know. This is what I'm now stating to you. Now let's see who is eligible. He said, to be eligible to apply for the EU long-term permit, you must have a valid permit of stay that enable you to apply, meaning you must have a permesso di soggiorno. Now listen, he said, have been regularly living in Italy for at least 5 years. Another one again, have a minimum yearly income equal or above social check. Then have the resident registered in an Italian comune municipality. That is your carta d'identità, those kind of stuff. And listen to this part here. He said, if you do not hold the refugee or subsidiary protection status, you also must have an A2 Italian language level. Now let me break this place down. This one might be the question, one be like say most of you are going to ask. Say yes, if I not get A2, I fit apply for Escata Soggiorno EU Lungo Periodo. Now let me explain to you guys. If you have asilo politico or subsidiary protection, you do not need the A2 to apply for this document. But some questuras, they will still need it from you. But according to law, if you have social protection and an asilo politico itself, 5 years document, you don't really need this certificate. But most questuras, they go still say may bring the certificate. So that is the answer to the question. Another one again is get the certificato di idoneità alloggettiva HAS stability certificate. That is your measurement of the HAS. Some questuras, they don't still they ask for this one, but it is important you have it as well. That means that person need to get the measurement of the HAS when it is state. Now listen to another one again. He said to apply for this permesso, you will also have to submit your criminal record. So your criminal record will be submitted. Most of now they ask, where will you get the criminal record? Now for tribunal, now you go fit a request for that criminal record. He said, however, this does not mean that if you were convicted of any crime, your application will be automatically rejected. He said it will be rejected only if you were convicted of a list of specific crime, people dangerous for the public order and state. So if you don't commit any crime, maybe you dey sell market or they don't catch you, say you steal, anything at all like say you don't commit, they need to know. If you commit any crime, at the end of the day, they go reject your application. That is what they have stated on this part. And let's go a little bit forward. Now listen, he said, you must have a valid permit of stay to apply for this permesso. However, you cannot apply for it if you hold this type of document. Now listen to where is very important. That is why I'm always saying that if you have your special protection document 2 years, it is good you convert it to motive of work so that you can apply for this EU lungo periodo. Now, if you have this type of document which I'm going to mention here, you cannot use it to apply for EU lungo periodo until you convert them to motive of work. Now, listen to the documents which you cannot use to apply for it. Number one is permesso per protezione speciale. So if you have protezione speciale 2 years, if you did not convert it to motive of work first, you cannot apply for EU lungo periodo. Another one again is permesso per protezione temporanea, permesso per richiesta asilo, permesso per cura mediche, permesso per casi speciali, permesso per calamità naturali, permesso per studio. You know, different kind of permits. You need to convert all these documents into a work permit, either lavoro subordinato or that of autonomo, before you can apply for EU lungo periodo. That is what they have stated. It has been there for long, but many of now go still they ask. Now Prince TV have let you know this evening. And listen attentively. He said at least 5 years in Italy. So you must have resident here in Italy for 5 years. Most of now go they ask. Now when I get my 6 months permesso di soggiorno, I've been when they give me the documents. Now listen, he said here, you need to have been living in Italy for at least 5 consecutive years holding a valid Italian permesso di soggiorno. He said your stay in Italy is considered uninterrupted if you did not stay outside the country of more than 6 months at once. Overall, not more than 10 months over the 5 years, unless for serious reasons such as several health issues. He said this holds true if you respect the traveling rules. So you see, before you apply for this EU lungo periodo, for that past 5 years, all these things, most questuras, they will put them into consideration. But majority of the questuras, they don't look into all the situation. But this is the law. That is what I'm stating to you. When do I start calculating my 5 years in Italy? He said, if you have subsidiary protection or refugee status, you can start calculating your 5 years from the moment you fill your asylum request by submitting your C3 form. Now let me explain this place well. Many of you are going to ask, when I go first start to count the 5 years when they talk about. Now this is what they have stated here, of which I've already made this video as well, trying to explain to you guys. If you get asilo politico or that of the subsidiary protection, the moment when you fill your C3 form, when they ask you your surname, when you enter Italy, that particular time when you take there for camp, then you get your 6 months permesso di soggiorno. That moment, then you start to read. So you count from that time up to now. If you don't reach 5 years, Then if you get asilo political or that or solidarity protection, you can go and then apply for this EU lungo periodo. That is what you guys have to understand. Now listen to this particular one. He said, if you have other permit, for example, work or family permit, you can start counting the 5 years from when you receive your first permesso. Now, this one might be the law where they put for you. But in reality, to explain to you with experience, letting you to know how it functions, even with that 2 years, protezione speciale or casi speciale, any of the documents where you hold, after when you don't convert them to motive of work, lavoro subordinato autonomo, then you fit still use that 6 months own, start to the count, then go apply. Majority of the questuras go tell you say now when you convert that document, it go start to the read. But many questuras, it go still accept like that, since it be say you first get permission with the sojourner when you arrive for the country. So this one might be something when not clear. Because many people they be like say, after they don't convert the documents to motivo di lavoro subordinato, small time they go apply for EU lungo periodo, they go accept. But now few questuras now not they accept. So this one, I not give you the direct answer. It is when you go to your questura, that is when you get to know. So that is just it. This is a little bit update from Prince TV relating to EU lungo periodo. If you have to apply, what you have to know, that is what I've just stated to you. If you enjoyed this video, do what to give me thumbs up, and then you share out to others. You go know how all these things they play. Now know me, how the matter they be. Now so I go take table give now, and I go see how things they be. I greet all the fans of Prince TV. Respect.